Genealogy Gems podcast. I'm Louise Cooke, and I have pulled aside Dave Barney. He is here from Google.com, and he is one of the technologists here at RootsTech in 2012, and I want to welcome you so much to the show. Hi, Dave.
Hi, nice to be here today.
Well, you really got introduced to everybody right off the bat because at the opening keynote, they got you up there with some pretty exciting news and things that you've been talking about. Tell us what you were doing this morning.
Yeah, we did. Jay Verkler was giving the keynote presentation and really kind of laid out his vision for family history and kept referring in reference to 2060. And as part of that, he talked about how to get there as an industry, we need to work together, we need to share, and we need to use common standards. And at that point, he introduced us to briefly talk about some of the things that we've been doing. And over the last year at Google, we've been helping to develop with Family Search and Genie.com and others a new standard for sharing genealogy content on the web.
Right.
And so we talked briefly about that and gave a little demonstration of that. It's already implemented by WeRelate.org, Genie.com, and FamilySearch.org. So we gave a brief demonstration. That's what we did.
So when you talk about sharing information on the web, we're not really talking about how you post your tree or that type of thing. You're talking about the tags and the data behind the scenes that are triggers to Google search engine. Am I thinking of that correctly?
Yes, that's exactly right. So content that's on the web, HTML, which is the language that describes how a web page should look in your web browser,
right,
has typically described how the data should look, but it doesn't describe what the data is. So a search engine sees the keywords and does its very best job to try to understand what those keywords mean. And then when a user is looking for those keywords, it can match them together. But imagine you have an ancestor with the last name Rosebush, or priest, or something else. It becomes more difficult for the search engine to answer your query.
Yes.
So what we're talking about is a standard for labeling that data in a way search engines can understand. So now instead of just being a keyword, it says this is a last name, or this is a bush. And when it's marked up that way, now search engines can be a lot more intelligent about answering users' queries. So users have better experiences finding data, content providers have better experiences sharing their data. But it really only works when there's a common standard that's industry-wide adopted.
And that's what you're developing so that kind of out of the gate, everybody's thinking the same way. And you really mentioned something, I hope it didn't fly past people because it's critical. And I know in teaching classes about common surname searches, there's ways to tell Google, here's where to look, here's what the priority is, here's the time frame. But you're really talking about telling Google priest is a name.
Yes.
And that just totally changes the fact that anything else that the word priest is involved in falls to the bottom and you're left with when it's referring to a name. And that happens then in the coding. This is something that the developer of the website can tag it to tell Google that?
Yes. So it's something that the user won't see.
Right.
Family Search, WeRelate.org, and Genie.com already have implemented this standard. And the standard's live at historical-data.org. They've already implemented it, but no users noticed anything different. But now, when the search engines find those pages, there's more information in it for the search engine. What users will see was another thing that we demoed this morning, and we will demo later tomorrow in more detail, is in order to show users this data and in order to kind of show the developer community here how we can leverage this data in other ways other than just improving search, we developed a Chrome extension. So while using the Chrome browser that has this extension installed, whenever you go to a web page that has this microdata, so let's say you go to any family search record data today, if you have this Chrome extension installed, a little icon pops up in your browser, a pedigree icon. If you click on it, it shows you the data as it's described in this microdata. But then it gives you a couple of features. So we're looking at a family search page and it showed us, oh, here's the record of this person. and with the click of a button I can search for more information on Google about that person. So the Chrome extension formats that data into a Google query that will then bring back relevant information about that person.
It already understands it in the context of the site where you found it.
Right.
And that this is a genealogy site.
Right. And then the Chrome extension also has a capability to search family search. So then we demoed that by showing, here's a genie.com page about a person. The microdata was discovered, the little icon popped up, I click on it, and now I can either search for more information on Google or on family search. And so with one click of a button, we brought up all the records on family search that match that person.
Wow. Because that's what I was wondering is when you go to google.com and you're just going to do a search, can you indicate to Google, I'm trying to look at this word as a surname, as a name, or will it simply be through the extension, the attachment to the browser, that you access it?
Right. So that's a good question. We're not where we want to be yet.
Oh, darn.
The first step is getting kind of an agreement in the industry and a wide adoption of the standard.
Right.
So that now this data is being described to the search engine.
Okay.
Then this step is now what can we do on behind the scenes at Google to be more intelligent about answering users' queries. So there's already an immediate benefit as we demonstrated with the Chrome extension. But it would be great to get to the point where you can say, I'm looking for a surname. But I think it even gets better than that. I think if you see where Google's been going and kind of what's a lot of what's been said publicly recently about where Google's going, we want to better understand our users. So maybe when you are typing in a name, they already know that it's a genealogy search.
Perhaps based on my web history?
Well, yeah, perhaps based on that or preferences that you've shared with Google.
Okay.
If you have a Google Plus page and it's all about genealogy, and they know that that's the kind of thing that you're interested in, then maybe we can get to a point where you can specify a surname, but maybe we get to a point where you don't even have to because Google's smart enough to know that's what you're looking for. And because of this new standard, it knows what websites out there have that information.
To interpret it. Pretty amazing. Okay, so some of the bigger companies are already using this standard. What about the everyday blogger, website owner, people who are putting their information out there? Can they get involved in any way?
Yes, they can, and that's part of what we're doing here is to get the word out.
Oh, great.
It wouldn't be too hard for us to take the big content providers and just contact them individually. So one of the main reasons to be here is to reach all of those people. And the schemas are already published on historical-data.org, but we'll be working on that over the next couple weeks and improving the content there. What we need to add is a little bit more examples and tutorials for the smaller organizations, maybe the genealogical societies or the small archives that maybe they're not as tech savvy and the published standards is good enough for maybe some of the larger companies, but we need to do a better job of laying out here's the details of how we actually implement that. And so over the next little while we're going to be updating that site and continuing to try to spread the word, and hopefully you can help us with the spreading the word.
Oh, we'll be happy to. I'm interested because I know in your own personal life you have an interest and a passion for genealogy. And I know that Google lets you dabble around with 20% of your time or so in pet projects of your own that you have a personal interest in. Does this fall on your 20% or does this fall as a formal initiative by Google? That's
a good question. I'm glad you asked because to be official, Google does not have any official genealogy project.
Right.
Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Well, this is right inside of Google's mission. Anything we can do to improve the sharing of content on the web and Google's understanding of that data lies right in that mission. But there's a few of us at Google who are spending our 20% of our time working on this initiative.